Hi guys, so last week I reviewed the spot where I had 5-4 suited and I 3-bet from the big blind against the button. Feel free to check the video online on Instagram. It's been uploaded last week. I explain why I do that. I explain many details which are very important in order to understand the hand perfectly. So let's review the spot very quickly. The button opens, I 3-bet, he calls, the flops come 10, 3, deuce, rainbow, I c-bet half pot, he calls, turns comes a 5, I check, he bets 1/3 of the pot, I call. I explained in the last video all the thinking process behind all the actions so far. And now the most interesting spot comes on the river because an ace comes, and this ace really gives it's a very dynamic card. Could be more dynamic if it was the ace of clubs, for example, but it's fine. And the question was, should I check or should I bet? And if I bet, how much should I bet? And in order to analyze this spot, we're gonna use Piosolver. So for those who don't know, Piosolver is a GTO software. It's the first one which was launched on the market in 2015, I think. Now it costs around, well, between $500 and $1,000 depending on the version you want to buy, and you will need a very good hardware in order to run it, or you'll need to rent a server, which is what I do. And yeah, renting a server is like, well, it depends on the server, but it can be $80 or $100 per month, even more if you want more power. So this is a software mainly used by the poker professional players. So yeah, I've run this spot. There's something we need to take into account in the real hand. The colors, the suits are not the same as in the simulation. So we've got the 5-4 of hearts, which are the 5-4 suited with the same suit as the 3, and in our simulation the 3 of diamonds. So we'll need to check the solution for the 5-4 of diamond at the bottom right of the screen. So on the flop we see that it's mostly a c-bet, and the sizing, well, 2/3 is the best sizing. So it's the sizing used 72% of the time. So we were pretty close. We were 50%. We were half pot size bet. Our opponent calls, and now comes the 5. I think it's the same suit as the 10, yeah. So here we've got the 10 of hearts, so the turn comes a 5 of hearts. What should we do now with our 5-4 or diamond? We should mostly check. Bottom right, you can see that it's check 85% of the time. So we check, our opponent bets 1/3 of the pot. Let's look at his range. What's his range for such a bet size on the turn? Very often it's gonna be, well, of course, value hands like top pair, good kicker. In fact, top pair, good kicker, but also small pairs like second pair, third pair, even bottom pair half the time. Of course, his stronger, the stronger part of his range, like straights, his sets, and some medium hands like pocket pairs, sixes, sevens, eights. And in his bluffing range, we can find most of his broadways, his suited broadways, and his offsuit broadways. They sometimes check, but they very often bet. And I think the real player, I mean the human player, will bet more often than Piosolver. So yeah, it's a bet. And what should I do with my 5-4 suited versus the 1/3 pot bet? I should mostly call 82% of the time, so that's good. That's what I did so far. So far I played it perfect. And now comes the river. The river comes the ace of spade. So what should we do? We should mostly bet. We should mostly go all in 89% of the time when the pot is, when the stack left is under the pot. Here the stack left is 82%, sorry, 92% of the pot, and in our case it was a little bit less. So yeah, mostly it's a bet 89% of the time. Let's see when we check what will be our opponent's betting range. So obviously all his 2-pair plus hands bet. You see that even the weakest 2-pair hand he can have is the ace deuce, and it's a 100% bet. Of course, all his stronger hands bet, his sets, his straights, etc. And his bluffing range is mostly built around the broadways, which had a gut shot. Sorry, which missed completely, which floated the flop and completely missed the board. And he should check back his pocket pairs like sixes to nines, his mid pair. He should check back almost 100% of the times. You see sometimes the sevens are bluffed, but very, very rarely. But the most important information for us at this spot, at this stage in the hand, when the river comes and we are first to act, is should we bet or check? And it's mostly a bet, but it's 11% of the time it's a check. So this means that it's a mixed decision spot. We can play both strategies at this point, and the EV is exactly the same. You know, if we calculate the EV, you can see that now at the bottom right of the screen in the 5-4 of diamonds square, the EV is 88 in both cases. So 88 for a spot for a pot size, sorry, in this simulation, which is 70. So the EV is like 12%, sorry, 1.2 times the pot size in both cases, whether we check or whether we bet. So when you know that, and of course when you want to play a good poker, you need to be able to recognize the mixed decision spots. In such cases, you've got to think about, well, in my case, I'm not playing against Piosolver, I'm not playing against a bot, I'm playing against a human being. Will he deviate from Piosolver's strategy? And if so, can I exploit him? And yeah, I think that my opponent will deviate, and I'm gonna let you know when. First of all, I think they will float more often than Piosolver does. You see that Piosolver very often folds his broadways offsuit. In my spot, I bet a little bit under this sizing on the flop. In the simulation, the sizing is 2/3 pot, and I bet half pot. Plus, on these tables, the players are pretty loose, so I think they would call more often with their broadways on the flop. Also, I think very often if I check my opponents when this ace comes on the river, very often I see opponents bluffing these mid pairs, sixes, sevens, eights, nines, very, very, very often, and much more often than Piosolver does. So I expect him to be like, oh, what the fuck, on this river, his line is so strange, so what am I supposed to do with my sixes? My sixes will lose most of the time. So if I check back, he looks like he's got nines or something, so I can bluff, and boom, they bluff their sixes. So I think they overbluff their range very often. And the last spot, I think, well, they will very often overbluff is these air hands. This one, Jack 9 suited. I don't think they will check back. King 9 suited, I don't think they will check back. I think sometimes they might have more Queen 9 suited. I don't think they will check back their Queen Jack suited. I think they will overbluff these hands. So this is why in my hand I decided to check rather than bet. And my opponent bet, went all in, and I called with my straight, and he had ace king. In this spot he shouldn't have ace king because he should have 4-bet the preflop. And feel free to rewatch the first video when I explained the spot. I'm pretty sure the explanation why he doesn't 4-bet ace king in this spot is because he thought I was a fish. He thought I was a recreational player, sorry. And I explained in the first video how I managed to let him think that I was a recreational player. We were playing anonymous tables, and I explained in the first video why I did a few things to trick my opponents. I had just sat at the table, and I think he didn't 4-bet because he said, oh, a recreational player 3-betting, he must have a strong range. I won't 4-bet my ace king, I will just call and play the hand post flop. And yeah, he misplayed. So I hope you find this kind of reviews and this kind of hands analysis interesting. If so, feel free to leave me comments or to send me private messages. I'm inclined to record more videos and more technical stuff in the future, whether on Instagram or on my YouTube channel. So feel free to check all that and leave me comments about the kind of content you'd like to watch. See you guys. Good luck.